The Prismatic subclass is an amazing new set of kits that we have inside of Destiny 2. The only problem is a lot of it is locked behind some secret quests and some secret chests that you need to find in the Pale Heart. And luckily in this video, we're going to show you how to do it very easily. We're going to show you exactly where you need to start, exactly where you need to go, plus all of the little details that you need that other videos may have missed. In addition, the great part about this is that once you have found all of these secrets and chests, you don't have to do it on another character. Your Prismatic subclass will be completely kitted out and ready to go. If this video helps you in any way, I hope you consider a subscription to the channel where we cover more Destiny content all the time. With that, let's get to it. The very first thing we need to do is go inside of 3 story missions to grab the first 3 facets. The first one we're going to be looking for is inside the Ascent mission. You're going to head over to this airplane broken out area here at the top of this mountain. Instead of going through the airplane, we're going to go down below in the broken area instead, and that is where you will find our first prismatic chest. This can only be found in the story mission though, so please make sure you are in the Ascent mission when you are looking for this. Next up, we're looking for the Facet of Devotion. This can only be found in the Descent story mission. Once you beat this Scorn boss and the room starts collapsing around you, as well as pathways start to disappear, you're going to follow the path that you see here on screen. The game tells you to go off to the right, but instead go a little bit farther forward. Like right here, don't go down that way. Go farther down this purple hallway and you should be able to find the chest very easily. Again, this can be only found in the Descent story mission. The third facet we're going to be looking for in the story missions is going to be in the Iconoclasm story mission. When you get to the dog here, instead of heading to the right to battle the witness, go over here to the left-hand side and you will see a small light up there. You may need to put on your stompies or some jumping exotics, but if you can, you should be able to jump up here into this area and find the third chest for the Facet of Sacrifice. Again, this can only be reached when you are doing the Iconoclasm story mission. Luckily for all of those missions, you can just do it on normal and blast your way through. Next up, we have the Facet of Command, which is a secret chest that you can find by starting in the Impasse. What you're going to do is head inside the wall area here, just follow the path that you see here on screen and basically just keep moving forward. You'll eventually come to an area that looks a little bit more snowy or icy, and when you get there, go ahead and knock out a couple of the enemies. You're going to need to explore just a little bit in this area. In addition, you're going to need to note a couple of positions of some ice crystals that say immune when you shoot them. Right here is going to be the secret chest right next to a Shrieker, which you should kill. If you turn around and go next to the wall, there's going to be a secret area where there is some fallen tech back over here. There are going to be 2 power stations here, plus a way to transmat a Scorch Cannon here. That Scorch Cannon is going to allow us to break up some of the ice chunks here in this area to allow us access, plus find some of these void, arc, and solar charges. Each station can only take 10 charges a piece, and each one of the different elements have a different number of charges. Arc has 2, solar has 3, and void has 4, meaning that you need to dunk them perfectly to make sure that you complete the puzzle. The first 2 charges are very easy to find. One is inside the secret room itself and one is right outside of the secret room. You can either deposit them or you can just drop them off in this area. I'm going to go ahead and deposit them because later on in the video, I'm going to show you what happens if you do it wrong. It's not the end of the world, but not a big deal. Grab the Scorch Cannon and head back the way you came. Grab the next arc charge and bring it back over to the stations. You can again dunk it if you want, or you can just drop it off. You can then go back over to where you dropped off the Scorch Cannon and then head into this room and then head a little bit off to your left. There will be a room that will look like it's iced over. Look immediately to your left and you will see the next group of ice crystals. Go ahead and break that open and bring this charge back over to the machine stations. Now, I'm going to show you in this clip what happens if you accidentally overload the system. It just spits out all of the charges, no big deal. And there's no timer on these either, so don't worry if you drop those off. All right, for the next place, go past that last room that you were in and keep moving forward following the path that you see here on screen. There's going to be a couple of bridges, and then right here, there's going to be the last arc charge. Go ahead and bring it back to the stations and drop it off. For the next couple of charges, we're going to go past the prismatic chest and head over to the right in this area. What we're going to do is look over to the right-hand side on the side of the wall, and there will be a set of crystals grab that void charge and bring it back. At this point, I'm not going to worry about dropping off my Scorch Cannon or where it goes, because whenever I drop off one of the charges, I'm just going to transmat a new Scorch Cannon in. For the next charge, go all the way across the bridge here. Instead of going to your right, just keep moving forward and following the path that you see here on screen. You're going to see a couple of enemies as well in this area, and off to your left, you'll see the final charge. Go ahead and bring that back to the station, and let's show you what happens if you dunk it right. Again, you can see that we have 10 charges in each of the stations. This void is going to give us 4 charges, so we're going to deposit that here. I'm going to grab the other void charge and dunk that in as well. That's going to give us 8 into this one, and then all I need is 2 more to get a perfect charge. You can see I have 8 here. I'm going to grab an arc charge, which is worth 2, dunk that in, and then we're good to go. And then the math here is easy. Everything else goes into the other station, and you're solid. You don't even really need to think about it. Just grab all of the balls here, dunk them in the other station, and you're good to go. There's probably a couple of other combinations you can use, but don't worry about it. Just use this system that you see here on screen, and then you're good. Once you've dunked both of these and gotten perfect charges, you'll get a notification of "you will drown in the deep," meaning that there's going to be a bunch of enemies you're going to need to fight, very similar to the campaign, using Prismatic and all of those abilities. Go ahead and knock all of those enemies out, get the divided Prismatic key, and open up the chest. That one is probably the longest puzzle that we're going to have, but there are a few more going on here. Next up, we've got the Facet of Defiance. Head over to the impasse area and then keep moving forward through all of these different areas until you come to an area where you see a guy that is kind of being impaled by a spike. What you're going to do then is turn immediately to your left. There will be some crystal areas here, and that is where we're going to be going into. You'll also notice that there are some darkness nodes here that you need to activate to shield yourself from darkness. What you're going to do in this arena is you're going to battle a bunch of enemies and knock out a couple of shielded enemies to get the Tormentor to spawn. You'll need to make sure that you keep refreshing your shielded from darkness buff. As these enemies come in, they will be immune unless if you kill all of the taken turrets throughout this arena. Once you've done a few waves of those enemies, go ahead and activate the node one more time, and that will get the next wave of enemies to spawn in. Again, make sure that you re-up your shielded from darkness node. At this point, these enemies will not have shields, but when you kill enough of them, that will spawn up a Tormentor, and you'll need to use Prismatic to do damage to him and the other enemies as well. Use precision weapons here to knock out all of the weak spots, and unlike other Tormentors, this is one that you can finish very easily when he's still got a little bit of his health back, so that is going to work out great. Once you've knocked him out, go ahead and pick up the chest. You won't have to worry about the darkness mode, but do note that you actually have to pick up the little pyramid piece here so you can actually open up the chest. If you just leave that key on the ground, you will not be able to pick up the chest. Next up, we have the Facet of Grace. We're going to head back to the Lost City in the old tower area and head back to where the Vanguard table used to be. Off to your right-hand side, there will be a hole that you'll go down into, and then you'll head into the next area. In this arena, when you go off to your right, you're going to see a vault symbol over here on the right-hand side, and then you go to the building that is next to it. It's a little bit taller. You'll also see some of the dread enemies start to come out of it as well. That's your first cue that there is something in there that you want to get your hands on, and that is the prismatic chest in here. Here's what you have to do. You have to kill the 3 omens and the tormentor that they spawn. Basically, you need to go to the different arenas around here. You'll notice that once you kill the first omen, another set of omens will appear. Head back over to the central arena area and keep moving forward following the path that you see here on screen. You don't have to fight these enemies here on this central platform, but as you move into this next area, you should take care of all of the dread enemies here so that you're safe and you can hunt down the second omen, who's usually hiding behind a couple of boxes. Once you've knocked him out, keep moving back to that original arena area and then look for the red and yellow platform. That is the third spoke of this arena, and that is where you need to go and kill the third omen. Again, there's going to be a bunch of dread enemies in here. You don't necessarily have to kill them. You could just move forward and knock this guy out. But once the third omen is defeated, you'll get a notification that the foretold arrives. head back to the central area where you're going to have a little bit of a fight on your hands. You're going to be fighting 2 stasis subjugators that are a little bit of a nuisance, and you need to make sure that you have the prismatic buff ready to knock out their shields. Luckily, there's a couple of spots where you can re-up your prismatic energy. Very easy to get, and then when you head over to this area, you will find the next found omen. Once you knock out that omen, you will then have to contend with this tormentor. Again, precision weapons on his shoulders to do lots of damage are really good. Still Hunt is an excellent choice for this, especially if you've been hunting for some exotics. Knock him out, but he will come and chase you, so just because you're over on this opposite platform does not mean anything, so watch yourself as you're knocking that tormentor out. Once you have the elevated prismatic key, head back over to that original area and grab the chest. The next thing we're going to do is head over to the Facet of Justice. We're going to start over in the landing. I'm going to be speeding up portions of this video, and if any of it is too fast, use the YouTube speed tool that's down by the gear in your video player, and that will help you change the speed if I'm going a little too fast. Head over to the left once you get into this refraction area, and you should see kind of a green and purple tunnel. That is your cue that you are going the right way. When you get into this area, you're going to turn a little bit to your right or to the left a couple of times like I did, and you'll see a small gap that corresponds to where you went inside the campaign mission. You'll then see a hive puzzle here with 3 symbols. The puzzle is actually really easy. You just need to dunk this crystal in the corresponding bowl to the different symbols. The only problem is you can only see the symbols from the front. So what you need to do is memorize where they are. You'll notice that if you do it correctly, it says it draws closer. Look for the next symbol. Take a look here once you pick it up and look inside the center of the room from this position. There's going to be a couple of enemies that are going to spawn up as you're trying to do this. Just use the attack or melee button to knock them out, and then you can look again when you have a second. You can always look across and around the symbols, but you can't just see the symbols from the back. So you have to memorize how many you need to go across to find the bowl that you need to dunk into correctly. Again, there's really nothing too crazy about this. Just make sure that you're looking at the hive runes very, very carefully. Make sure you've lined it up. And again, you'll get the notification of it draws closer once you've done it correctly. If it says that you did it incorrectly, it'll say something like it falls apart or it pushes apart or something like that. But you want to see it draws closer. Again, look for the 3rd and final symbol and then drop it in the bowl. And once that happens, it's going to say it is here, and a bunch of enemies are going to spawn up, and then you can take them out at your leisure. Again, you'll need to use a little bit of prismatic again here to take out some of the prismatic shields from some of these enemies. But again, nothing too crazy. These 2 enemies are very close quarters and can be knocked out with a couple of sword swipes very easily. Just be careful that there are going to be other enemies attacking you here in this area, so make sure that before you open up the chest, you knock them out all before you pick up the chest and move on. All right, we're going back over to the Lost City inside of the tower area again and heading back across the Vanguard table. Head past the area that we did earlier where we were fighting the Tormentor. We're going to be continuing to move backwards all the way to the starting position of the Final Shape campaign. Again, you can follow the path that you see here on screen, and if you have any questions, you can leave them down in the comment section below, but there's really nothing to this. You'll then head into the Lost City outskirts. Once you're here, I'd recommend that you clear all of the enemies in this first area so you have a little bit of time to think and look around. What you're going to do eventually, once all of these enemies are killed, you're going to start looking for some hidden ghosts. You'll get a little notification that the ghost sees something in the top right corner. It's not going to tell you what it is, but if you pull out your ghost, you'll notice that he is looking in a direction and it's locked. What you're going to do is sort of follow where the ghost is looking. If you see here this big giant tree, I'm going to go ahead and pull out my ghost here in this section here, and you'll notice that he is looking up just a little bit on this platform, and that's because he is looking at this broken ghost here. You're going to need to find 4 ghosts total to go to the next section. Next up, you'll head to the area where there is a tormentor, and you'll see this big giant rock here. What you're going to do is you are going to go down these stairs that are right below me. jump down, and right behind them are going to be a set of boxes. Again, if you get lost, just follow your ghost. There's going to be some boxes here, a couple of new monarchy and a Dido box, and the ghost is going to be sitting right on top of it. What you're going to do next is you're going to head backwards all the way to the entrance area, continuing your path all the way to the beginning of the Final Shape campaign. Go ahead and use your ghost here as you're leaving this mechanical area that kind of looks like an elevator. You'll see some stairs that look like they're upside down. Right on top of there, on top of a ledge, is going to be the third ghost. The fourth and final ghost is going to continue on to the green grassy area. Continue following the path that you see here on screen until you get to the big giant speakers machine that is now in the earth. For those of you that don't know, that is the speakers machine that he had in Destiny 1, and now it's cemented into the ground. What you're going to do is hop up onto this middle platform here. The ghost will be off to your right. There might be some enemies shooting you, so you want to take them out very quickly. Once you've collected the fourth ghost, you're going to continue heading backwards all the way to the first giant ghosts that you saw when you came into the campaign. There will be a pyramid tech platform off to your right with the prismatic key chest over here to the right hand side. Step on the plate and a bunch of enemies will come and attack you. You'll obviously want to knock all of them out to spawn the rest of the bosses. It's very similar to the rest of the campaign where there are going to be some bosses that have shields. You'll need to take out all the prismatic shielded enemies in this area. I will tell you that there was a weird bug that happened where I stood on the plate and nothing happened for a couple of seconds. So if that happens, just keep waiting around so you don't reset your progress. A sword works really well on those subjugator bosses, so use that and then pick up the chest. The next facets are a little bit more complicated than these puzzles that we had here. The only way to get the next set of facets is to make sure that you are beating the campaign as well as completing some of the quests from Micha's Conduit. You need to have completed this plus a couple of the Alone in the Dark quest lines to access all the materials you need to do the next couple of facets. For the next parts of this quest, it's also a good opportunity for you to hunt some Ergo Sum swords because you're going to be hunting inside of a lot of the overthrow activities. Speaking of that, what you're going to do is look for these chests that have darkness nodes on them. You're going to have to do some type of activity, whether it's running after a ball of light, running into some darkness constructs, doing different little puzzles that would normally be part of public events. But what you're going to do is dispel the corruption, and then you'll get some memory vestiges. Some of them are going to be darkness, some of them are going to be light. What you need to do is get 5 of each one of those to actually be able to access one of the legendary versions of the vestiges. You'll see here on screen that I have 4 in my inventory of these darkness vestiges. I'm going to pick up this chest and get my 5th. That will create a legendary memory. Now, just to restate this, there are darkness memories and then there are light memories. They are going to lead you to different parts of the map where you're going to hunt for different memories and different chests that are secret. The first one we're going to hunt for is the Facet of Honor, which was a darkness one for me. You're going to follow the path that you see here on screen, basically past that quest area where we had the prismatic chest and we had the big fight here and the shrieker. The good place to start here is to go to the impasse and just follow the path that you see here on screen. This is a very, very long path, and there's no other way that I've found to get here really quickly. Again, I would really recommend that if you are getting lost, look for landmarks that are around you, and also you can slow it down using the speed tool. Click the gear that is in the player and then choose it to the speed that you need to have. We're going to go past the airplane and continue moving all the way up the mountain up to these platforms where we jump a little bit more. We're going to continue to follow the path all the way up to the top of the mountain where we're going to find a couple more enemies. Keep moving to this path all the way up to the top of the mountain. There is going to be an area that looks like a little dug out station. If you need help, you can always check your map and it will show you the general area where you're going to be. It will also show you if you are close to your objective on the left-hand side of your screen. You'll see the near objective marker. Instead of going down that path, you're going to head over to the right-hand side, kind of aiming at that spaceship. And down on this platform here will be a prismatic chest. And as long as you have this memory unlocked, you will be able to see this reward. However, if you do not have that memory unlocked, you will not be able to see it. Next up, we're going to head back over to the impasse area, look at that castle-like building over here, and come over to the left-hand side. Right here by this edge to the left-hand side here will be a chest. I picked this up without getting footage of it. There will be a chest here. Again, if you have the memory that you need to pick this up in the impasse. The next facet takes a little bit of time to get to because it's halfway between one landing zone and another, and you have to cross a little bit, but it's not a big deal. Head over to the blooming and head to where you see that my player target is on screen. Follow the path that you see here on screen, and it's basically just a straight shot. If you continue moving forward, there really aren't many different ways you can go. But again, if you are getting lost in here, go back, rewind, and just restart the video to figure out where you need to go. The landmark you are looking for is Ikora's ship. That is going to be the main landmark that you are looking for. You're going to look over to the right-hand side, and there will be a bunch of gnarled trees. Hop up on the tree that you see here on screen and jump up onto these branches. This is the easiest way I've found to do this, but basically just keep moving forward until you see the chest. Once you get the chest, you're good to go. The next set of facets that you need are a little bit different than the darkness modes that we had earlier. Instead of looking for chests randomly out in the world, you're going to need to find a couple of secret areas where you can find some different enemies that you can kill that will give you the light memories and the light vestiges. This is why you need to complete the campaign, because you need to get access to the 3 different cyst areas. There's 3 different areas that I'm showing you here on screen. What you need to do is go inside those respective areas and kill those enemies that are glowing to give you light vestiges for the specific area. What I've noticed is that you can get 4 light vestiges in a different cyst area, but the 5th one has to be from the area that you're in. For example, I'm here in this area. This is the opening of one of the cyst areas. It is a hive puzzle here, so very easy. Just shoot the symbols that you see here on screen. To find the cysts, just track them using your director and then follow the blue bird until he shows you where you should go. These little mini dungeons offer a couple of bigger challenges where the enemies hurt a little bit more. I noticed that I was running into swords, but you will notice there on screen, I got a blooming of light, which makes sense because that memory is going to be found in the blooming area. The other one will be in the seclusion, and it will be named the seclusion. Again, you can continue to pick up more memories here in this area, but it seems like when you pick up the 5th memory vestige that creates the legendary one, you need to be in the correct area. So here I'm going to head over to the blooming area. Again, I'm just saying it again in case you've used the timestamps. You have to make sure that you have a light memory to pick up this facet. In this area, head over to the tree and basically just rotate around its base. You'll eventually come upon the chest over basically right next to a tree, and you can double check where you are just using your map and your director. You'll see here the chest off to my right, and I'm going to show you this tree that you should be looking for if you need an orientation point. Again, there's the chest. Here's a tree that you can use as a marker in case if you get lost. That will be our Facet of Generosity. Again, you need to have the light memories to pick this one up. The final facet is very similar in that regard, that you need to make sure that you are picking up the seclusion memory. That is the light memory. Again, you get that from the cysts. I'm saying that multiple times because I'm seeing multiple people who don't understand that you have to do that specifically, and you have to get those memories of light from those different areas. But once you've got those vestiges and once you've got that memory notated on screen, this is the path that you will follow. Again, head over to the blooming area and then follow the path that you see here on screen. Again, you can mark this on your map very easily and just keep moving forward past all of these areas through this crystal area, and you can just follow that at your leisure. This is the last one, and the one that is a little bit tricky to get to because you have to go through all of these different puzzle areas. But basically, we're trying to head back over to Zavala's seclusion area. So you'll see all of these like creepy hands here. We're going to see his memory of him holding a gun, and eventually we'll end up right here. There'll be a little mountain right here, and that will be the last chest. With that, you've unlocked the entire Prismatic subclass. And again, you do not need to do this again on your different characters, regardless if they've picked up Prismatic or not. All they have to do is unlock it in their quests, and all of those different fragments will be available. I hope this video has helped you out, and if so, make sure you come on over to twitch.tv/manodestra, subscribe for more Destiny 2 content, and as always, join the Discord down below. We'd love to have you. Good hunting, Guardians. I'll see you next time in the universe of Destiny.